How many people could have gotten help sooner if someone had just noticed the way they moved? It's not just aging, and it's not just clumsiness. Because when someone you love starts losing balance in strange ways, the brain may already be changing. Many seniors begin showing signs of dementia years before memory loss, and balance is one of the first systems to break down. In this video, you'll discover 7 unusual balance problems that often go ignored, but quietly predict cognitive decline. And if you spot these signs early, you may be able to act before it's too late. Let's get started. Number 1. Dragging feet or shuffling. 2 years before her Alzheimer's diagnosis, 79-year-old Marcia began walking strangely. She stopped lifting her feet and started dragging them along the floor, especially on smooth surfaces like tile. Her family brushed it off, but then it escalated. Marcia began avoiding certain rooms entirely, saying the floors felt wrong or looked slippery. One day, her son found her crawling across the hallway rug, whispering, "It's safer this way." That was the moment the family knew something deeper was happening, and her doctor later confirmed what they feared. The damage had started long ago. Many research warn that shuffling or dragging feet is one of the earliest physical adaptations the brain makes in response to instability. Dementia affects the brain's ability to coordinate movement, rhythm, and sense danger. On smooth floors, where feedback is limited, the brain may overcompensate by keeping the feet low, a subconscious attempt to stay grounded. But this unnatural walking pattern actually increases the risk of tripping, falling, and losing independence. When it becomes routine, it's a powerful early clue that the brain's motor systems are under strain. New dementia videos daily. Feel free to subscribe. Number 2. Bumping into furniture. 80-year-old Raymond started bumping into the same coffee table every day. Soon, he began misjudging corners, brushing against door frames, and even clipped his hip hard enough on the kitchen island to leave a bruise. Over time, his forgetfulness took hold. One morning, he asked his wife how to use the coffee maker he had been using for 5 years. That's when his family scheduled an evaluation, and doctors later diagnosed him with vascular dementia. It had been exactly 2 years since his strange movement was first noticed. Studies show that early dementia often disrupts spatial awareness, the brain's ability to judge distances, angles, and familiar layouts. When someone begins misjudging objects in their own home, it's not just clumsiness. It's the brain struggling to track surroundings in real time. These minor collisions may seem harmless, but they're often among the earliest red flags of deeper cognitive decline. And because they happen in familiar environments, families tend to overlook them until the damage is already advancing. Number 3. Hesitating before a rug or threshold. 3 years before her Alzheimer's diagnosis, 76-year-old Elizabeth began stopping right before stepping over rugs or floor transitions. Sometimes she'd stare at a stain on the carpet like it was a hole. Her husband thought she was just being overly cautious. But then, she started stepping around imaginary lines on the sidewalk and refused to cross a marble floor at a department store, saying it looked like water. As time went on, her confusion deepened. One day, her family found her using the kitchen sink as a toilet. That was the moment they finally sought professional help, and doctors confirmed what they already feared. Experts confirm that this type of hesitation is often the first motor symptoms in Alzheimer's and Lewy body dementia. The brain begins to misinterpret depth and contrast, confusing simple visuals for physical obstacles. Patterns, shadows, and changes in flooring can look like cliffs, holes, or hazards. What seems like caution might actually be a signal that the brain is struggling to understand the environment. And when these small pauses become routine, they're often the earliest clues something deeper is changing. Most people miss these early signs, or mistake them for normal aging and don't take them seriously. But if you can spot these balance changes early enough, your loved one's future might look very different. That's why it's so important to equip yourself with the right knowledge. Let's get back to it. Number 4. Grabbing walls or furniture. Eugene, 78, began reaching out for walls and furniture as he walked. At first, his wife brushed it off as just aging, but soon he was trailing his hand along the hallway, grabbing doorknobs, and leaning against counters even when nothing was in his way. Then it got stranger. At church, he once reached for a pew that wasn't there and nearly fell. One morning, he told his wife that the floor felt like it was sliding under him and said he needed to hold on to the air to stay steady. That's when the family scheduled an evaluation, and doctors diagnosed him with Lewy body dementia. His wife blamed herself for not catching the signs 2 years earlier. Experts warn that this behavior is often a subconscious coping mechanism. The brain senses imbalance or instability and instinctively seeks external support. Dementia can disrupt the vestibular system and spatial awareness, making even short walks feel unpredictable. Grabbing walls or furniture becomes a way to feel anchored, even when the ground is perfectly stable. If someone begins doing this, it's often one of the clearest motor-based signs that the brain is beginning to struggle. Number 5. Leaning to one side. 2 years before her frontotemporal dementia diagnosis, 75-year-old Joyce began leaning to one side, whether standing or sitting. Her family assumed she was in temporary pain or something, but it kept happening. She leaned to the right during meals, while waiting in line, even while watching TV. Then it escalated. Joyce once fell sideways off a bench at the doctor's office without realizing she had slipped. The turning point came when she leaned too far while brushing her teeth and smashed her face into the bathroom mirror. Joyce was hurt, but insisted she hadn't moved. That's when her daughter knew something deeper was going on. Research shows that unintentional leaning is often linked to dysfunction in the brain's spatial processing systems. In dementia, especially frontotemporal or vascular types, the body may struggle to perceive upright positioning. The brain loses track of center, causing the person to lean or shift unconsciously. This isn't muscle weakness. It's a neurological misfire. And when this kind of leaning appears without injury or explanation, it often signals something deeper is happening in the brain. Number 6. Freezing, midstep in doorways. 77-year-old Gerald started hesitating whenever he entered a room. He would walk normally through the hallway, then suddenly stop in the doorway, one foot forward, the other stuck behind. His wife thought he was daydreaming or trying to remember something, but it kept happening. Sometimes he stood frozen for 10 or 15 seconds, staring ahead like he couldn't figure out what to do next. One day, while visiting his son, he stopped in his kitchen doorway and quietly said, "It doesn't feel safe in there." That's the day his family scheduled a cognitive test, and he was later diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Looking back, they realized the signs had started nearly 3 years earlier. Experts confirm that doorway hesitation, also known as freezing, is a classic early motor symptom in dementia. The brain gets overwhelmed by changes in lighting, layout, or surroundings, especially when moving between rooms. In some cases, the threshold triggers confusion between movement and decision-making. What looks like a simple pause might actually be the brain's struggle to coordinate thought and motion. When freezing mid-step becomes routine, it's a clear sign that deeper cognitive systems are being affected. Number 7. Suddenly sitting down without reason. Just over a year before her Lewy body dementia diagnosis, 81-year-old Marlene began sitting down in unusual places. At first, it happened at the grocery store. She lowered herself onto a shelf ledge or crouched beside her cart, saying her legs felt off. Then it started happening at home. She once sat down on the floor of the laundry room and said the hallway felt too far. The turning point came when her husband found her sitting in the shower with clothes on, staring at the faucet. When asked what she was doing, Marlene whispered, "I'm waiting for it to turn into a door." Her family rushed her to the doctor, and the diagnosis confirmed exactly what they suspected. Studies show that when the brain begins to misinterpret physical space, sudden sitting can be a response to internal instability or sensory overload. In dementia, especially Lewy body and Alzheimer's, the body sometimes defaults to self-protection, and sitting often becomes a way to cope with the confusion. These moments aren't always dramatic, but when they repeat without a clear medical reason, they often signal early brain dysfunction affecting coordination, balance, and orientation. If someone you love is showing these signs, don't wait, because by the time memory loss begins, the damage is already far along. Catching these early changes might be your only chance to slow it down.
And there you have it. What are your thoughts? Next, dive into this video for more essential tips to transform your health and help you thrive. You're going to love it. Thanks for watching Healthy End, and we'll see you there.